Hello and welcome everybody. I just recorded a video on some tower fragrance I did not enjoy, but um, those of you who watched my tower Nexin unboxing and first impressions video, by the way, yeah, it is leaky. I've lost not much since then. I've not like barely worn it because I'm still trying to get over the trauma of receiving a leaky bottle of something that is so rare. But yeah, those of you who watched that video, remember that I got a set of samples with it, and one of the samples was L'Air des Alpes Suisses. So, the sample is already half used, but it's not by me. It was used by the previous owner. That means I have not smelled this fragrance at all. And I don't know the notes for sure. I've seen it sometimes compared to Reflection Man, although I doubt that it's very similar at all. And I've also seen it compared to Nexin. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to give you my first impressions of L'Air des Alpes Suisses, so the air of the Swiss Alps. And I'm going to spray it on my left hand. And then I'm going to spray Nexin on my right hand. And I will give you my quick first impression comparisons of these two fragrances. Nexin, by the way, I've worn on skin. I know the dry down. I know how it performs. But let me just give this L'Air des Alpes Suisses a shot. All right, so I just sprayed it on. You can see it on my left hand. And it's super fresh and has this bright, citrusy, herbal opening. Very herbaceous. And so I get why people get Reflection Man, but it's very different. So the reasons why people get Reflection Man, I think, is the orange blossom neroli material that is used in here with some sort of woody vanillic sweetness, right? So this is where I see the similarities, but they end immediately with this green Swiss herbal note. So this has like this note of not necessarily fresh grass, but fresh herbs. So I can't really describe it that well. There's this herb. How do you say it? It's like stinging nettle. I think it's called stinging nettle. We call it Brennnessel in German, right? And this herb has a very interesting, almost savory herbal, slightly green fermented smell. And there's a tea that you can make from it. You can actually put it with cream cheese and eat it on bread. And there's like loads of different ways that you can eat it. It's supposed to be very healthy for you. And this is like the herbal smell that I get from this. So it's very green, juicy, and slightly bitter, slightly salty, green herbal smell. Like crunchy. And that's really completely different from Reflection Man. There's also actually a slight smokiness in L'Air des Alpes Suisses. And a slight mintiness, so it also has a nice mintiness as well in the background. That are all things that I don't get in Reflection Man, and I own Reflection Man. I know Reflection Man very well. So I see that part that is similar, but also the other parts are completely different. And it's a very pleasant fragrance. So my first impressions of L'Air des Alpes Suisses, very positive. Now there is this ambergris accord that Tower is so famous for, appearing in a base. Gives this very mineralic, kind of slightly salty feeling. Lots of radiance, although this is a light scent. It's definitely like, I see the scent as very spring-like, very, like the first lush green weather in spring, so the brief of fresh Alp air, I would say, is rather successfully done. What's kind of interesting to me is why I get this smokiness. I didn't expect to get like a smokiness from this. And this green feeling, by the way, I don't know if any of you smelled a scent by Parfum d'Empire called Maleme, I think. It's also like a very nettly type of green, almost fermented green cut herbs type of smell. And this is like in here to me, but in a very light dose. Yeah, and of course I said Neroli Orange Blossom. That's like this clean, fresh note that is like carrying the scent really. That's like doing most of like the body, the radiance that that I get as the backbone almost with the ambergris accord. So that's like the backbone, and then the twist is this herbaceous green note, the slight smokiness. There's also now a woodiness appearing, like almost damp woods, maybe, like a forest, like where there's tree stumps and maybe fallen trees that have been rained on, and you walk through this forest on the next day in the morning with like a little bit of a fog and a slight wind going, and you smell this wet wood. That's kind of also what I'm getting. Even though the scent generally leans dry, even dry scents in texture can have wet smells. It's very counterintuitive. Even but when you smell it, it makes sense, right? Even some scents that are powdery yet creamy at the same time, which when you think about it, it seems kind of counterintuitive, but when you smell it, it makes sense. All right, at this point, I'm gonna spray Nexin on my other hand, and I'm gonna compare these. First impressions, they're not all that similar. So I did Nexin on my right hand, and cap. So Nexin cap, you have to do the right way around so you can see the Nexin. All right, so there's Nexin on this hand. Yeah, and they're not similar to me. They're not. I don't know why people say they're similar. Just the orange blossom neroli part again, but Nexin is even further away from Reflection Man. So in the opening, I could kind of see why people compare L'Air des Alpes Suisses to Reflection, kind of, but in Nexin I can't really see it, because Nexin is a lot creamier, and you can smell this orris butter creaminess, and you can smell this powdery white floral thing, and there's a prominent rose note in Nexin as well. And this just makes Nexin smell very different. Nexin is also has a slight nuttiness going on. It smells more, to me, more lotiony. It is less green. There's a slight greenness as well, but it's not this herbaceous fermented green. It's more like how do you say it? Like the stemmy greenness of a rose brush, or a slight cypress camphoraceous greenness. Nexin feels thicker as well, right? So L'Air des Alpes Suisses has this more airy texture. It's more, it's like the air, like wind blowing past your nose, and Nexin is like it lingers. It has like this dense cloud that you're in. And going side to side, I would say L'Air des Alpes Suisses is also on like a touch sweeter than Nexin. So Nexin is very floral, but it's not very vanillic sweet, and I get more of that vanillic sweetness from L'Air des Alpes Suisses. And L'Air des Alpes Suisses also has more of a citrusy facet as well. Yeah, and the rose is just so different. The rose and the iris really makes Nexin very, very different. So to my nose, winding down now, to my nose, again, I would say Reflection Man and L'Air des Alpes Suisses and Nexin, they're three separate scents that, maybe you could say they're in a similar category, like a masculine white floral, even though I think all of them are unisex, if you ask me. I mean, I wear women's scents as well. No issues at all. They are distinct, and each of them has a different focus and a different feeling when you wear them. And I'm rather positively surprised by L'Air des Alpes Suisses. Again, Nexin is also darker, even though the bottle is white, compared to L'Air des Alpes Suisses, it feels darker. It feels almost more baroque, if that makes sense. You know, L'Air des Alpes Suisses feels very modern. Might be, you know, together, the both of these layers, like L'Air du Desert Marocain and L'Air des Alpes Suisses, might be very good starter tower fragrances to get into the brand. You know, so one of them is more spicy ambery, although I think L'Air du Desert Marocain is a lot more wearable than some people might say. There's a cumin note in there, but it doesn't go sweaty on me at all. I don't think, even if you don't like cumin, there must not be a lot of cumin in it, or it must be blended in a way that it doesn't really do the bad or the scary parts of cumin. You know, I personally tend to enjoy cumin if it's done well, not always. But yeah, I don't get much cumin from L'Air du Desert Marocain. And L'Air des Alpes Suisses is just, I guess the most challenging part of L'Air des Alpes Suisses is that herbal, stinging nettle, almost fermented green, minty feeling, you know, that herb feeling. And that because I think it's kind of fermented, it has a slight tartness. And that also probably plays together with the ambergris accord. It has the slight, ambergris has a slight marine salty tartness, especially on skin. Although there's no natural ambergris to my knowledge in this fragrance, as far as I know. Those are the only parts that may make this a little bit more, you know, different to the stuff that people know. But the rest is just very high quality, wearable, fresh, in the top citrusy, in the heart white floral, green herbaceous, and in the base woody, ambery, but no, to my nose, no like bad amberwood. So this, unlike Aero, where I think I got some really horrible amberwoody smells in the base, this doesn't have it. This is much lighter. This is not headachy. It smells like it's gonna, right? The way I expect towers to last is usually they last a long time, but they have this very airy quality, so they're not like in your face all the time, but you just get like a whiff sometimes and you think, oh, wait, I didn't even realize I was still wearing a tower, but there it goes. There's the smell again. And that's how these towers often wear. And Nexin is a lot different than the other towers. So Nexin is so I would say this L'Air des Alpes Suisses is a lot closer to the classic tower DNA than Nexin. Nexin is a little bit more special. Yeah, and Nexin just has this creamy, like I said, like a rose scented hand lotion type of smell, together with this iris and tart lemon blossom, orange blossom feeling, and it's a lot denser, a lot more, you know, almost old school smelling compared to L'Air des Alpes Suisses. All right, so before I ramble on too much, I think this was a fairly clear comparison, at least from the way I feel about these fragrances. In summary, try L'Air des Alpes Suisses. You might like it, especially if you like a very fresh, airy white floral scent with a woody base and a slight herbal touch, and this classic tower ambergris accord that's very mineralic, almost stone rocky, flinty almost. There might be some vetiver in here too, I don't know. And it's not the same as Nexin. Nexin has a lot more these creamy, powdery florals, like rose and iris, that set it apart. And Nexin has a lot less obvious of a tower DNA in terms of that ambergris base. And it's also different than Reflection Man, because Reflection Man, in my opinion, is sweeter, has a lot more creamy, milky yellow florals, ylang ylang and sandalwood that play together. That does this kind of banana-y, creamy, almost baked bread smell to my nose. And while L'Air des Alpes Suisses has a good amount of sweetness, I would say Reflection Man is even sweeter. And this just smells more like the outdoors than Reflection Man. Reflection Man is just almost like a very clean Neo Fougere type of thing, but with lots of sweetness and white florals. All right, yeah. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that was helpful. I hope you learned something about these scents. And thank you again. Have a great day, and we will see each other in the next video.